If you're the type of person who simply doesn't get caught up in drama, you've probably heard it before. That you're cold, that you don't care, that something is wrong with you because when everyone around you is going up in flames, you just walk away. But you're not cold, you're not distant, and you are definitely not incapable of feeling. You're doing something that most people around you simply can't do. And there's a precise psychological reason for that. And it's what nobody ever explains. It's not a coldness of character. It's not indifference. It's your nervous system functioning exactly the way it learned to function. Picture this scene. You're in a WhatsApp group chat. Someone sends that message. The gossip, the conflict, the crisis that suddenly everyone needs to have an opinion about. Notifications explode, and you mute the group, put your phone down on the table, and get on with your life. When someone asks what you think about the situation, your honest answer is, I don't know. I didn't follow it, I'm not interested. And just like that, you're the heartless one. The one who thinks they're above everyone else. The one who doesn't care about anything. But here's the question nobody's asking. What makes some people completely immune to being sucked into drama while everyone around them consumes themselves in it? What is happening in the brain of someone who simply doesn't take the bait? That answer exists, and it's going to change the way you see yourself. Psychology has a name for what happens in your nervous system when drama shows up. Neuroscientist Stephen Porges developed, back in the 1990s, what became known as polyvagal theory. And what this theory describes is that your nervous system is in constant, unconscious surveillance of your environment, classifying every situation as safe or dangerous. Porges called this process neuroception, different from perception, because it happens before you think, before consciousness, before any choice. And here's what that means in practice. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a lion and an argument in the family group chat. Social tension is processed as a threat. Drama is read as danger. And depending on what your nervous system learned over the years, the automatic response may be to engage, to freeze, or to pull away. People who pull away from drama aren't being indifferent. They're responding to a threat signal that was calibrated long before any conscious decision was made. This isn't a personality choice. This is neurology. What almost nobody knows is this. Within the group of people who pull away from drama, there's a specific profile that psychologists consider the most vulnerable. And most people have no idea which group they belong to. We'll get there. Let's break this down. There are 3 groups. The first is the group of those who learned early. People who grew up in environments of constant, unpredictable conflict. Not the isolated argument every family has, chronic tension, a climate that never settled, a home where you never knew what you'd find when you walked through the door. When you're a child in that environment, your nervous system has no survival strategy other than to shut down. You learn that getting involved is dangerous, that getting close to the fire gets you burned. The brain encodes drama equals threat. Pull back. Don't respond. Don't engage. It wasn't a conscious choice. It happened before you had words to describe what you were feeling. It's like an immune system that developed in a contaminated environment. The immunity you built was exactly this: automatic disengagement as a survival mode. The strength here is real, but there is a trade-off. When protection becomes a reflex, it stops distinguishing unnecessary drama from genuine connection, which sometimes requires a degree of friction. The disconnection that once protected you can, over time, become a disconnection that isolates you from the very things you actually want. This is the subgroup that psychologists consider the most vulnerable, not out of weakness, but because that withdrawal became an absolute reflex, etched into you without your consent. The second group is those who have already been burned. These people weren't always this way. There was a time when they got involved, when they cared, when they were present for every conflict and every collective crisis, until something changed. A betrayal, a burnout. The moment they realized they were giving far more than they were receiving, that they left every interaction more drained than when they entered it, that the energy spent on other people's drama never came back. Dan Siegel, neuropsychiatrist, developed the concept of the window of tolerance. the space within which the nervous system can process intense stimuli without losing control. When you push that system outside the window too many times, it installs a permanent circuit breaker. Think of it this way. It's like an electrical circuit that tripped so many times that the system itself ended up installing an automatic switch. Now, before any overload can arrive, the switch cuts the power, not out of weakness, out of learning, out of the memory of what it cost not to cut it sooner. The trade-off exists here too. The distance that protects you is the same distance that other people read as coldness. And the coldness they assign to you is not who you are. It's what your nervous system built to keep you whole after being broken more times than it ever should have been. The third group is the deliberate regulators. These people arrived here in a completely different way. Not through childhood survival, not through burnout, through informed choice. At some point, they learned something most people never learn, that drama spreads neurologically, not just socially. Researcher Elaine Hatfield documented the phenomenon of emotional contagion. Emotions and stress states spread from person to person like neurological signals. This is not a metaphor. It is literally what happens in the nervous system when you are close to someone in a state of intense activation. These people understood that, and they learned to observe conflict without absorbing it. They are not a wall. They are a non-stick surface. Drama arrives, doesn't stick, moves on. The trade-off? They can seem distant to people who need validation through shared outrage. If you don't join the collective anger, sometimes it looks like you're not on anyone's side, and that carries a very real social cost. Do you recognize yourself in any of these paths? Perhaps in more than one, and it doesn't matter which. All three arrive at the same place on the outside. That's why people call you cold without understanding anything about what's happening inside you. There is a crucial detail that tends to be overlooked. Your body did not calibrate these responses in a vacuum. This mechanism was shaped within relationships, within environments, within stories that began before you had the vocabulary to describe them. Attachment theory, developed by John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, showed that early experiences of conflict and care physically shape how the brain organizes emotional response throughout an entire lifetime. A child who grows up in a high-tension environment does not choose to become someone who avoids drama. Their nervous system is reconfigured by that experience before any capacity for choice even exists. And neuroscience confirms this unequivocally. The amygdala, the brain structure responsible for threat detection, cannot distinguish physical danger from social conflict. When drama erupts around you, the amygdala fires the same emergency signal it would fire in the face of a concrete threat in milliseconds, a biological alarm that completely bypasses your reason. When this activation happens chronically, the cost is biological and documented. The cortisol released during repeated threat activations accumulates in the body in measurable ways. CDC data associates chronic stress with a 29% increase in the risk of cardiovascular disease. Think about the weight of that information. Your nervous system that learned to pull away from drama may be, quite literally, protecting your health. This is not weakness. It is your biology perfectly executing the work it was trained to do. However, there is an uncomfortable truth we need to face. Not everyone who pulls back is doing so from a place of strength. And that distinction changes everything. There's a line between two types of disengagement, and that line is not in the behavior. It is in what lies beneath it, in what drives it. The first type is values-based disengagement, a deliberate, grounded choice. You know your limits, you understand what drains you, and you decide where you want to place your energy. You step back because you chose to protect your peace, not because you cannot be present, because you decided where you want to be present. That is a boundary. That is freedom. The second type is fear-based disengagement. The behavior looks identical from the outside, but on the inside, it is not a choice. It is escape. It is the nervous system that learned that getting close is dangerous, and the only way out is to shut down. That is not freedom. It is a cage built from the inside out. And the problem with a cage built from the inside is that you carry it everywhere. And here's the real test. Can you be present in a genuinely important conflict without falling apart? Can you move closer when you choose to, when it truly matters? Or is the withdrawal involuntary, the only mode available regardless of what you want or need? Is this choice or cage, boundary or wall, freedom or freeze? Only you know the honest answer. And most people are a mixture of both. What matters is knowing which side you lean toward, because that determines whether your disengagement is serving you or limiting you, whether it is protecting you or imprisoning you. Pay close attention to this now. You are not broken, and now you know why. What looks like coldness to people on the outside is neurology. It is history. It is protection. What you have is a nervous system that learned to defend itself. And depending on where that learning began, it may be the most intelligent thing you have ever developed. Or it may be something that deserves more attention and more gentleness than you have been giving yourself. You owe no one an explanation. You do not need to walk into the fire to prove you care. And if you recognize the fear beneath the withdrawal, naming it is not a verdict. It is the first step. And the fact that you are here, honestly recognizing this pattern, already says a great deal. You belong to a quiet group of people who learned, one way or another, not to be conductors of chaos. That has value. That has a name. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Protect your peace. Leave a comment telling me about a moment when you stepped away from drama and felt at peace with that decision. I read every single comment, every one. If you want to keep understanding what your nervous system is trying to tell you, subscribe. There is much more to come.